I wanted to talk about a lot of people were upset about Boise State. Boise State's schedule is awful. They don't play anybody. They almost lost to Nevada. They almost lost to Idaho. They almost lost to some other team. But the funny thing is they played it really close with Oregon, so like it's kind of saved them. But here, let me look at Boise State's. And they're getting shot up on the rankings. Obviously, if they win their conference, they should go in.
Right.
But they're getting shot up because of Ashton Genty, because of the running back. The rest of the team's terrible.
Yeah.
Listen, the rest of the team is not good at all. It's seriously just the running back. Look at this. So they started off. Colorado State beat them by 1. Colorado State is not a good team. They're very bad.
Yes.
And then Fresno. No, this is last year. Sorry. Wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, so they beat Georgia Southern.
Yep.
56-45. They gave up 45 points to Georgia Southern, which is just
gosh,
atrociously off. Like that's bad. They beat Portland
What's Ohio
State.
State going to do to them?
It's going to be bad. So Boise State's second game, they beat Portland State 56-14. That's all great and dandy, but have you ever heard of Portland State? No, you haven't. They beat Utah State 62-30. Not a good team either. And then they beat UNLV, which UNLV is respectable. They're ranked. It's a good year for them. They beat them by 5, so that's probably their best win right there because it's a ranked win. And then they only beat Nevada by 7. Nevada's terrible. They beat Wyoming 17-13. Wyoming.
Yeah.
And then their schedule's done. Wait, no, they beat. Let's see. Yeah, they lost to Oregon by 3, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
They beat Washington State up, which Washington State's respectable. They're not bad.
Yeah, they're like 7-4, 8-3. Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They beat Hawaii. Hawaii's, they've been on life support as long as I've ever known. They beat San Diego State by a bunch. That's fine. That's not a good team. Yeah. They beat San Jose State, and now they play Oregon State, and Oregon State's not very good. They play them on Friday night at 12 p.m. Friday night at 12 p.m. What?
Midnight game.
A noon game?
Yeah.
It's a noon game. That's weird. So, yeah, that's Boise State's schedule. And all that was done because of Ashton Genty. Look at their defense. They gave up, holy cow, so many points. So,
I'm just saying, like, you look at like Mountain West. You look at Mountain West, and you look at like the Big 12 right now where it stands. You're looking at all the other Big 10 and SEC, where that's always going to be the comparison now with these Power 5, with this 12-team bracket. Where I mean, you're going to seriously consider Ohio State with Boise State for a second? Like, are you going to literally just look at that game and be like, all right, I see you guys and I see you guys? It's basically being like, that scene in The Blind Side where Michael Orr takes on that really skinny offensive dude or defensive player. He just goes like that. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I mean, in your head, as a fan of college football, that is the kind of like matchup you're looking at. Like, it's just like you're coming at me.
Yeah.
Stop. Like it is just really what it is. I'm not saying nobody doesn't deserve a shot, but like that's the thing about this. You got to start considering everybody in this mix. Like if you're talking about teams that are going to collectively be in the Power 5 conferences, you're going to have to give them schedules that kind of give them an idea of what they're going to go into. Yeah. Like I'm not saying you got to schedule Oregon or Texas on your off season, whatever, but you have to consider something in the middle or above. Like, if you want to like start considering a team like Wisconsin, like they're respectable, like they're constantly a 7-4, 6-5 team. You put them on your off season and you beat them, then you're like, okay, you may not have beat a ranked team, but they have a good record and they're constantly a winning team. So like then the committee will be like, all right, then we have no choice but to know that they actually deserve to be there. Like you just said,
we won with a backup quarterback. We won with a backup quarterback, Bo. He played fantastic. And they probably looked at that and they were like, all right, well, if Drew gets hurt, okay, that's fine. They have Bo. He's really good,
Yes.
You know what's funny about Texas, right? Their schedule's not good, but it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be good because they were like, "Oh, they scheduled a big boy," and in the beginning of the season they played Michigan. Then we found out Michigan was a toddler, not a big boy.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
and then they throttled them. So, but Texas they haven't been impressive in a while. Their quarterback, Quinn Ewers, he's good when he was healthy, but ever since he got hurt, he's like throwing pick sixes and just doing weird stuff. Like it doesn't. They're not that scary. They have a good defense, sure, but their offense is hit or miss. So, I mean, they're the number 3 team in the country because they have one loss. That's the same thing as us. We have one loss. Okay, we're up there. But Texas, not super impressed with them. I wouldn't say I'd want to play them. It'd be a fun game, though. When's the last time we played Texas? It's been a long time.
Gosh, I mean, you're looking at, what, 10, 15 years when we played them, I think, in a bowl game?
Yeah. I mean, we played Georgia. We played Georgia in like 2015, right, in the bowl game. So we played them recently in like the last 9 years. We have not played – when's the last time we played Notre Dame? Maybe 10 years ago.
Isn't that the 90s?
Or has it been that long?
No, that was like late 2000s, like 2006 or 7. We throttled them.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, we did. We played them. You're right. 2007, we played them. That's actually that's the year, and that was the craziest year of college football, other than this year. Was 2007.
Yes. That was the Appalachian State one upset, right? Isn't that the greatest upset?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there. I remember it.
2007 was the craziest season other than this year, and that's why we're so excited. Because I mean, look, SMU and Arizona State. Who would have thought? Great stories. You got to be happy for both programs. I don't hate either school, so like, good for them. There's certain schools I don't care for, and I don't mind either of those teams. I actually had to look up. I had to look up SMU to see what it stood for. Like, I've always seen the initials and knew the team.
Southern Methodist or something like that?
Yeah, Southern Methodist. It's a Dallas school. It's in Dallas.
Yes.
But like, I didn't know where it was. I knew it was a Southern school. It looks like it'd be like Southern Mississippi or Southern Missouri or something, right? But it's Dallas.
Right.
So,
but I mean,
you called me an idiot for not knowing it, but I just knew them by the Mustangs. So.
Right, but I mean, so I'm right now looking at the SMU schedule. Like, so you're looking at these teams. You beat Nevada by 5. You beat Nevada by 5. Like Nevada, okay, and then HCU. Can you tell me what the mascot for HCU is? Do you want to take a guess? It's an animal.
It's an animal.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, can you even say what the HS? It's talking about HCU stands for. You talk about SMU. Yeah. They throttled them, and then they lost to BYU at home. Lost to BYU at home, 18-15.
The bad loss. The bad loss. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then they played TCU. Do you know this score? Are you looking at it?
66-42 is great.
I'm just saying, if you're not looking at it, go find it. That's insane.
Did they accidentally put a basketball team score on here? Because that's what that looks like.
That was the goat. Yeah, that must have been the joke.
They beat Louisville, but Louisville was good until they lost to Stanford, which you should not lose to Stanford if your name's Louisville.
Right. And it was at Louisville. Yeah, I mean, it was at Louisville. They won by a touchdown.
They beat Duke by 1. It's respectable.
Going to Stanford, beating Stanford. Everyone's beating Stanford all of a sudden. I remember, 10, 12 years ago with Andrew Luck, Stanford was like the most prolific Pac-12 team at one point. It was pretty remarkable how it's like they've really fallen from grace.
And you're going to love this. They throttled Pitt, which is just fantastic that they throttled them.
Yeah. I mean, you look at like SMU and Duke. I mean, you went to Duke and you had to go into overtime to beat Duke. That was a statement because, again, Manny Ramirez and them had all the opportunity to do something. Because I know at one point they were like 6-1 or 5-0 or whatever, and they beat them. So that was a good win. And then again, at the time, Pitt was really ranked. Like, I think they were 18th or 17th, and then they took on SMU, and SMU went to town. So, Boston College, you won by 10, and you throttled Virginia. And you're ending your season with California.
And California is decent this year. Decent. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, like, you're talking about teams like SMU and Arizona State. I mean, I think Arizona State is actually the more, like, I think they're like the Indiana of the West. Like,
I think they're going to be better than SMU in the playoff. I think they'll put up more of a fight. They have Scadaboo, which is the best name ever. Their running back, his last name is Scadaboo. It's fantastic.
That is a fantastic name. You're right.
Scadaboo, man. It sounds like somebody made that up on PlayStation. Like that's their
That sounds,
PlayStation user tag.
so I'm a big jazz person. That sounds like something you said back in the day. Like that sounds like like you're doing your scatterboo.
Yep. Yep.
But like,
Arizona.
so what did you have? You had in their season, they beat Wyoming, they throttled them, and they beat Mississippi State by a touchdown. They barely beat Texas State. Barely beat Texas State. And they lost to Texas Tech.
They're still figuring things out. Okay, just let them.
I mean, so you had Kansas at home, and you barely beat them. You barely beat Utah. You got beaten by Cincinnati. You got beaten by Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's not good.
That is not good. I mean, they're 11 in the Big 12. I mean, yay.
They beat UCF.
It was okay, but yeah, but then you went out to UCF. Yep, you beat Oklahoma State. Then you beat.
They got better as the year went on.
And then you beat Kansas State and BYU. Like you ended with 2 ranked teams. So I mean, it's a collectively good schedule for them. I mean, they had a couple ranked teams and they beat them. I mean, it was a pretty respectable result.
Better than SMU.
I'm saying if you talk about SMU and Arizona State, I would say I would lean more towards Arizona State's respectable schedule and season.
Yeah,
I would say that they have a better chance. Like you saying who they play. Yeah, the winner of Ohio State. Like, I mean, if you're talking about Boise State and Arizona State, who do you have in that one? If you were to say that game, like if they were to face each other, who would you take?
Arizona State or Boise?
Yeah, if those two were to face each other.
Arizona State, I would take them. Yeah,
right.
Because unless Ashton Genty wins a game by himself, which he could, I think Arizona State would run all over Boise State. They have a good running back too, Scatterbo.
Yeah. So. I want to hear that when they play Ohio State. I'm just like, Scatterbo goes on, all over Ohio State. I mean, there's got to be some rhyme you can do with that.
Yeah. Just imagine the front page of the paper. Scatterbo skates by, I don't know. It'd be a good headline. But
it's like because of Scatterbo, Ohio State it says boo boo. Boo hoo.
Arizona State has some decent receivers too, and I don't think Boise State has that. So that's why I would take Arizona State. Because if Boise State somehow stops the run, which their defense isn't good, I don't think they will, they'll air it out a little bit on them. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that'd be a good game, actually.
But, I mean, listen, you're talking about Ohio State like they're not, touchable, which it's like, they're always in every game. They know how to collectively have everything. But we have constantly said, when it comes to Ohio State's weakness, Will Howard is not the greatest Ohio State quarterback in any category. Like if you look at all the Ohio State quarterbacks that they have had, name me one that just doesn't really fit like that, like he did. Like there was never a time where I didn't think Ohio State didn't have a good one between, Terrell Pryor and there's then CJ Stroud and we have him on the Steelers right now. And I'm blanking on his name. The backup. What's his name?
The backup quarterback where?
For us, for Pittsburgh, gosh darn it, I'm just blanking. Russell Wilson and
he's
our backup. No, Justin Fields. Fields. That's it. Yeah,
Justin Fields. Yeah.
So you have all these different quarterbacks.
He's your guys' backup quarterback. He's not mine. Okay.
No, I'm saying my quarterback. That's what I'm saying. I totally blanked on Justin Fields' name for some reason because it's not difficult to remember. But look at Will Howard. Like, give me any other team that has that kind of reputation for great quarterbacks, and then Howard is not up there. I mean, so could anyone take advantage of him turning the ball over? I mean, I think Arizona State could very well be an upset for sure. There's no way that you can say that Ohio State collectively has done everything right because, again, you're always one of the better teams in the conference, and the reason why you lost the Oregon game was because the quarterback decided to hold on to the ball for 50 seconds when you only had 10 seconds left in that game, and then he slid. It was basically -6 by the time he finally slid or got up. I mean, it was the worst look, I'd say, in a big major game in a long time. You lost your game because you slid and you did not know what time was on the clock. It's crazy. So, what we're looking at with teams like Oregon, I expect – say the head coach's name for Oregon.
Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning. I mean, he's obviously one of the better coaches in all of the college football. I mean, Texas, I don't know. I mean, like you said, the inconsistency was with the pick sixes, and the quarterback hasn't played up to his elite status. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, you're looking at all the quarterbacks for the entire landscape. Give me one that's off the top of your head that like makes you go, ooh. Like, I mean, Cam Ward, like that's
Cam
for
Ward.
Miami, but
Cam Ward, but the team's kryptonite would be a competent offense because their defense is atrocious. So any of these teams, here, this is a good idea, right? I'm looking at the bracket that they have today. Let's pick the Final Four on what's going to show what we think the Final Four is going to be. If this ended today, what our Final Four be? I'll go first. All right, let's do this. So Penn State beats Indiana at home. I got us right. I got us round one. I got us going. So I'll do this. I got us going. Would it be at Miami?
Yeah, be at Miami.
Miami doesn't have, they don't have fans at the stadium. They might for that game, obviously, but they don't have fans there. Weird. I'm not afraid of that. Us playing in the heat. We get a lot of
wait, time out. I'm trying to think about this actually. Because if they're number 8, and we're number 4, but if they're going off of the actual bracket, we would actually have the home field. I'm saying because we're number 4 and they're number 8. But if they're going off of
the playoff brackets, we would be 6. Yeah. So we play Indiana. So we beat Indiana at home. Then we go to if it's whatever the game's at. We play Miami. I think we can beat Miami. I don't think if Cam Ward has a crazy game, we could lose to Miami, sure. Yeah. But I got us beating Miami. I got us going to the Final Four with that bracket right there. I got us going to the Final frickin' Four, baby. Let's go, Penn State. And then the other side over here, Notre Dame will show. They'll send the frickin' SMU Mustangs back to Dallas. Okay, they'll send them home. Yeah. Notre Dame will play Texas. That's a really good matchup. I like that matchup. Between Notre Dame and Texas.
Yes, it is neutral side. Yes, because we get the quarterfinals and they go to the bowl game. Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate that.
Perfect. Yeah, my man Smouch. It's my man Smouch. It's his nickname. Nice. Call him Smouch. Say hey, Smouch.
Smouch. Thank you, Smouch.
So we'll beat Miami, and I know Smouch's brother's a Miami fan, so I'm sorry, but he's a Penn State fan, so he's completely okay with it. So he's fine. We'll beat Miami at a neutral field. After we beat Miami, we'll go to the Final Four. I'll get to the other teams once I do the other side. So Penn State going to the Final Four after that bracket, and then we got Notre Dame beating SMU, and then I think Notre Dame could possibly upset Texas. It depends on the quarterback play. I think I'm going to take Notre Dame to beat Texas. It's a risk, but this is college football, baby. Things happen. Yeah. So I got Notre Dame going to the Final Four, and guess what that sets up? A game Notre Dame Penn State on a neutral field. That's a gut punching game. That's a physical game there on a neutral field. So on one side it'll be in the Final Four. It'll be Penn State Notre Dame. Now let's go up top. We got Georgia Tennessee. I got Georgia beating Tennessee again. They already handled business. I think they'll do it again. Then you got Georgia Oregon. I can see Georgia beating Oregon, man. It depends on what offense we'll see from Georgia. It really depends. I think Georgia's going to figure it out. I think Georgia's going to figure it out, and their defense will give Oregon some problems. Mm-hmm. I got Georgia upsetting Oregon right now. It sounds crazy, but I'm thinking some upsets. So I got Georgia upsetting Oregon. So that means Georgia will go to the Final Four. And then we got Ohio State, Arizona State. That's not fair. I feel bad for Arizona State. Right. Ohio State will play Boise State next. They will gut them by 25. Ohio State will play Georgia in the Final Four. So your Final Four, ladies and gentlemen, is Georgia versus Ohio State, Penn State versus Notre Dame. If the bracket ended today, with this bracket that they showed, I'm not saying like in general. If this is the bracket that we're going to get, which it's probably going to fluctuate, let's be honest. It's going to change a little bit. But as of today, I got Notre Dame, Penn State, Georgia, and Ohio State. I got Ohio State beating Georgia.
Okay.
I got Ohio State beating Georgia. I don't know if we can beat Notre Dame. I think we can. It just depends on. They have a good defense. Okay, they have a good defense. It could give us some trouble. They have good cornerbacks, good safety play. I think I'm going to take us to beat Notre. I think I'm going to take us to beat Notre Dame, and then we play Ohio State rematch. It sounds biased, but our bracket wouldn't be that crazy. Think about it. We play Indiana, then Miami, and then we play Notre Dame. Notre Dame would be our toughest game yet out of all those games. If we can squeak by Notre Dame 1-2 points, whatever it is, we play Ohio State in the championship.
Right.
Now pick yours. Pick yours.
Wow.
I can pull it up.
I'm not saying the entire South. I'm not saying the entire South and West would shut down for that game, but I'm just saying pretty much Midwest and North would be the only ones watching that game. Just letting you know that. Okay, but so for me personally, yeah. I mean, yeah. So you got Penn State then taking on Indiana. Naturally, I haven't Penn State beating Indiana. Now I'll give scores to this. I'll be a little more intriguing on it. I think this game will be 38-31. Penn State. I do think Indiana is going to give our defense that much of a fit, but I also do think that Drew Aller and company will have enough of a game plan to actually execute, be at home, have their opportunity. Now we're going to give up a touchdown late. Like we're going to be like 4 minutes into the fourth quarter, like left in the fourth quarter. We'll be up 38. What would that put us at? 38-24, and they'll score a touchdown, make it a little interesting, and they'll try to do the onside kick. We'll recover, and we'll kneel 38-31. Penn State goes on. So you have then Notre Dame taking on SMU. You're going to hate me for saying this, but I'm actually going to pick the upset in that one. I'm actually going to go SMU over Notre Dame.
These are predictions based off of the bracket we see. Right. I mean, I just have this. I have a sneaky feeling that a team like Notre Dame, with as much of a reputation as they have, I know it's going to be in Notre Dame. I do get that. But there's just something about like SMU that it's like they're actually going to come out and give them everything they've got. And I just feel like it's going to be one of those like shootouts where, again, I think it's going to be like a 31-28, like a late field goal seals it for SMU and upsets. Okay.
And then I have SMU then going on and taking Texas. An all Texas matchup there. And then on the other side, Boise State.
Yeah.
So you have Ohio State taking on Boise State. Next team. Georgia and Tennessee. I think that this is going to be really, really close, but I am going to pick Georgia very, very close. Like, we're talking like literally a point. I'm thinking 28-27. It's going to be like by 1 point. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy close game, but I do think that Kirby Smart and company will figure out a way to get themselves into the next round to take on Oregon. Now, as far as Arizona State and Ohio State are concerned, I'll move on after that for the quarterfinals. I have Arizona State taking on Ohio State. I think it's going to be closer than what people think. Like, they're going to actually push them. I think that the Scatadoo is going to actually really do some damage to the Ohio State defense. I mean, I want to see it so bad. But like you said, headlines, the headline will read, boo-hoo Scatahoo. That's what it's going to read. Ohio State squeaks out the win. Boo-hoo, Scatahoo. I mean, that's just really what it comes down to. It's going to be like 30-24 Ohio State. So I'm picking them. And then against Georgia and Oregon, I'm sorry, I'm going to be kind of boring. I think Oregon's going to handle them. I have this feeling they're just, So, I mean, I think it's going to be like pretty embarrassing, actually. I think it's going to be like 35-20. It's not going to be close. I think Oregon's going to be rested and they're going to take care of business. So we're going to see a rematch for potentially the third time. We're going to see for the third time. Oregon take on Ohio State. But so then we move on to the other side. Texas, SMU. Texas throttles SMU. Throttles them. Doesn't even let them in the building practically. Like 42-14. It's going to be embarrassing. That's my feeling. I just think they're going to kick their barn doors down. So Texas goes on to the Final Four, and Miami and Penn State. Cam Ward, Drew Aller. I don't know their running back names, but I do know our guys' names. I know Tyler Warren. I can't think of their tight end. I don't even know their coach's name. But guys, we're going to take on Miami in neutral territory, and it's going to be to the date James Franklin's most impressive win. It's going to be, given the circumstances, going to the quarterfinals, going neutral down in Florida. Not all the games are in Florida. All of the big-time playoff and, bowl games are in Florida, so it's almost a home game for Miami, but we're still going to find a way to take care of business. It's going to be a 38-year revisit of the last national championship. It's going to haunt them again. I think that Penn State takes care of business, and they're going to win it 28-21. Just a pretty straightforward score, nothing fancy. We'll have 4 touchdowns. They'll have 3. We'll win. So then that puts us against Texas in our semifinals. Semifinals. I have Final 4, Penn State, Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State. Oregon takes on Ohio State.
I forgot to say who was going to win in that. My predictions. I had Ohio State beating us by 3. If this bracket, like I said, pans out, I got Ohio State beating us by 3. It's going to be a gut wrenching loss. We'll be out of it. We won't be able to speak for a week, so maybe 2 weeks because we haven't been in the Natty in 40 years. So it'll be a rough loss. But go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to.
All right, no problem. You're fine.
Yeah.
So Oregon takes on Ohio State. O versus O. Like, this is the new thing with them. 0 versus 0, but it's for the 3rd time. They're going to face each other in the Big Ten championships. And for the 3rd straight time, Oregon will upset Ohio State. They will go 0-3 against Oregon this season. It will be the new thorn in Ohio State's side. You are no longer the kings of the Big Ten. It is Oregon. They are green and they're Ducks. It's no longer the Buckeye. The Ducks are now the kings of the Big Ten, and they're going to make you hate it. So that's my prediction. Oregon is going to be the representative for the national championship. Texas and Penn State. It's so close, guys. I know. I feel like I'm putting on some Cinderella moment for it. And what you have is a team like Texas that knows how to be noisy, that knows how to bring it all. And Penn State's never been in this situation before, at least with James Franklin. I know Mark is probably shaking his head like, how dare you go in this direction? But I will say that the week before was James Franklin's most impressive victory.
Yeah.
And this one will replace it. Yes, sir. So I have Penn State winning the game against Texas.
Penn State, Oregon.
Nope, I have Penn State beating Texas. Yep. I have Penn State rightfully playing Oregon in the national championship 30 years later. 94, both teams could have been in the national championship game, but we settled for the Rose Bowl. So it's the Rose Bowl 30 years later, but in a different atmosphere in the national championship. Penn State's first visit in 38 years. More than I have been alive, more than you have been alive.
Yep.
About 80% of the people that watch Penn State were alive.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be one of, if not the most unique championships, because it is 2 Big Ten teams, but I don't have it against Ohio State. I have it against Oregon. And in the end, it is going to be grit and grind. Everything will be shown on the field. We come up short. Yeah. We go down the field, but it comes up short. And I have the winners of this national championship being the Oregon Ducks, 27-24. And if that were to be the real case, us going all the way to the championship and just missing out, I would respect James Franklin in a way that I don't think I could possibly have given him. Because, again, you're talking about something that we have been wanting from Penn State for so long, have not seen, and he has not delivered up until this point. We have gotten to bowl games. We have gotten to that point. and we have faced very good opponents, but it's more head shaking than it is cheer. So if you were to have that pulled off, Penn State get all the way to the national championship and just lose by 3 points, and nothing went wrong. We faced them tough. They get a big touchdown. We get a big touchdown. We push it in. We stop them for one big yard. Maybe we look like we have a shot, but then they get a ball back again. Then they score and they go up on us. And we'll be up. So what is that? Yeah, it's 27-17. We have to score the touchdown, and there's 6 minutes left. We stop Oregon. And it's okay, so it's 27-24. They pin us back at the 15, and we have 3 minutes left. And then we just kind of get to the midfield point, and then they get pressure, and things just happen, and Drew Aller just out of the reach, and, they just don't have the guy, and then it's just 4th and 10 at the 50. Wouldn't get it. I'm just saying it would be a thrill to see them go that far, even if they weren't meant to be there. And again, for all I know, Texas would beat the snot out of us, and hell, maybe even Miami would beat the hell out of us. But I'm going to make it kind of the biggest moment for them, because they deserve that. For many, many years, we have watched Penn State have a shot, not really get there, not deserve it, because some things happen, and we looked outplayed. There's been many times where I've watched a James Franklin-led team, and you're just you're outcoached. The other team knew how to defend. They knew how to prepare, and we just aren't there yet. So now we're talking a 12-team playoff, and anytime that you get into that kind of bracket thing, anything is possible. You could get again. Penn State 23 years ago, when they went to the basketball and they went to March Madness, they got all the way to the Sweet 16. I will bet you not one analyst had them even close to a Sweet 16. No. Probably didn't get them out of the freaking first round. So get them into a bracket setup and watch what happens. So that's my prediction.
That's what I said. We have a favorable. We got a little lucky. If we get the 6th seed, that's a favorable matchup. I think it's more favorable if Notre Dame upsets Texas. I think I'd rather play Notre Dame than Texas. That's maybe that's why I went that route, but I also feel that Notre Dame, although they haven't beaten anybody crazy, they're beating the heck out of people right now. So I think they're playing their best ball right now, and they're a very respectable opponent. So I think, isn't that crazy to look at the predictions we just did, and we have Penn State going to the net? And maybe it's a little bit of bias in the heart, because it's just we've been craving it so bad. Maybe a little bit biased, but the best part is any team on these brackets is beatable, and that's why this year is so good. There's nobody who's a juggernaut. People might think Ohio State and Oregon are juggernauts. They both struggled with lesser opponents. So
my reasoning for putting Penn State in the national championship is 2 reasons. Number one, you look at, again, I just named all the quarterbacks. All the quarterbacks in the entire brackets for this year's first 12-team playoff. Name me another quarterback who is better than Drew Aller. Can you say, without hesitation, that Cam Ward is not the best quarterback of all of those quarterbacks? I know Oregon's is good too. I know he is good too, but I don't hear any names in these guys with big things happening for them. So I'm saying Drew Aller, I trust him enough to say that he has out of all the quarterbacks of these 12 teams, he's the 4th or 3rd best quarterback, by their numbers. I just think that's my logic for that. Number 2 is the Heisman. Look at the Heisman. Travis Hunter, Colorado, not getting in. Alshon Jeffrey, or how do you say his name, the Boise State guy?
What'd you say?
Boise State's the representative, the quarterback for, is he the quarterback or the running back for Boise State?
Ashton Genty,
Ashton Genty, So you have him for that. He's not going beyond, and then you have Cam Ward as the quarterback for Miami. So that's your options. And then Tyler Warren, the representative for Penn State right now. He's 6th or 5th in the voting. I'm just saying we have a guy that's potentially a Heisman candidate in the playoffs potentially going. And I'm saying those are my 2 reasons where it's you look at the whole teams collectively. Yes, Oregon has the better numbers. Ohio State is ahead of us. The teams that are ahead of Penn State, Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State, they're going to play each other.
The crazy thing about Tyler, think about it. If Tyler Warren has the exact game he just did against Who we just play? Minnesota. He breaks 1,000 yards in the regular season, and that's receiving yards. He has 150 rushing yards. He has over 900 receiving yards. He only has five receiving touchdowns, but he has three rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. So he has 9 touchdowns, which he should have more touchdowns. That's just how things worked out. But
right. So I mean, I'm just looking at the whole landscape of these brackets where it's like, yeah, I like our seating. I like what we have collectively. Like, there's a lot of talent on this team. We keep mentioning Penn State's defense is always one of the best in the country. And, you know, Drew Aller's finally getting some good play calling. Execution, like, it's not consistent, but they're not doing anything truly to lose games, because they have only lost the one game, but that's because, again, you just have those pressures.
The special teams miscues cannot happen again, or we'll lose.
Right.
That cannot happen again. That was a fluke game with their special teams. It's never that bad. And we made up for it on the fake punt. We made up for it. But that cannot happen in the playoff, or we'll lose any of these games. We cannot let that happen. We can't.
So, yeah, your path to the championship, Indiana right now, Indiana, Miami, Texas, or Notre Dame. I'm just saying, like, or SMU. I'm just saying. Crazy things have happened, dude. We know this. So I'm just saying I like what we have. It's the best situation you could have had. Like, honestly, like outside of Ohio State, like with the easy street, like it's not that terrible. I mean, I could ride on that road, you know. I mean, Indiana Street and Miami Drive, like. Those are roads I could probably, you know, drive comfortably on. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity to play a good team, but not a team that's not beatable. Like these teams have the opportunity to be beaten. So I'm saying Penn State, take your opportunities where you can, and just don't make mistakes that will tank. I mean, and you have a chance.
And the Penn State haters and the SEC bias people, if they were watching this, they would say we're crazy, but we're not. I mean, look at the numbers. Look at who we have. Look, we're favorable. It's a favorable schedule. And at the same time, we could lose week 1 to Indiana. We could have a rough game. But I think Kolnicki, I think he's going to pull some tricks out of the bag. But my only thing is, he needs to keep those tricks in the bag when we just need a normal play to go. When it's 3rd and 2. Or something, and you try to do some crazy dumb stuff. Like, just do a regular play most of the time and pull the tricks out of the bag when it's most what's the word? When you have to do it. You know what I'm saying? When it's most convenient to use them on a very important drive, pull the tricks out. Don't just pull the tricks out on some random drive if we're up, you know. Do it if we're down and if it's a smart play. Like, I think he's gonna pull some tricks out of the bag and keep us in some of these games. I think our defense is going to tighten up compared to last game. I think that was kind of a fluke. They got to call some holding calls. Let's just be honest here. It's freaking terrible. So I think our predictions were we only missed on one game. You have, 2 games. You had Texas beating Notre Dame, and you had Oregon beating Ohio State. And I'm not mad at either. Both of those could happen. I just went a different route. And both routes are plausible on both ends. So I think we can almost wrap this up, man. I think we
absolutely
we talked it through. Yeah, I mean, we've been going on for a minute, and I don't know. No, I'm just saying. I think we talked it out, and very favorable schedule. If this is what it happens, it'll probably change up a little bit. I'm hoping it stays because I would love that bracket. That's a great bracket.
Yeah. That is a great bracket. For that situation, if we want to get all the way, I think you're right. That is the right path for us to have. So wrapping it up, so you look at all of the championship games that are about to go down. Are they slated? Like, is it pretty much guaranteed that who's in the SEC championship this week will have it next week? Or is there a scenario that if it happens, someone else gets in? Do you know, like, what it would be?
So for the SEC, if Texas, this is crazy. If Texas A&M beats Texas this weekend,
yes,
Texas A&M goes to the championship because they have a head-to-head win. Because Texas A&M might have 2 losses now, but guess what? One of those is to Notre Dame. That's out of conference. Crazy, right?
Yeah, so
if Texas A&M. So the only change that could possibly happen in the SEC right now is if Texas A&M beats Texas, which is possible. So watch out for that. That's a sneaky game. Texas would still make the playoff, and that would mess the whole bracket up probably because
That would
Texas
mess everything up. It would mess everything up.
We almost want Texas to win, I think, because that would just mess everything up. So let's root for Texas this weekend. I think that would mess.
We'd be yelling Jenga if that were to happen. We'd be yelling Jenga.
Yeah, it would be a Jenga for sure. So that's the main thing for the SEC. That's something people aren't thinking about. Texas A&M could make it to the playoff because they can make it to the conference championship.
So wait, would that mean Texas A&M would take on Georgia?
Well, Texas A&M would have to. Yeah, they would have to win the championship. They'd have to play Georgia. Yeah.
But then what happens if they win? If Texas A&M wins,
that would be Jenga times 2. It would be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
We build it up and then collapse again.
The funniest thing could happen this weekend. Georgia Tech could knock off Georgia. That would just. Let's not even think about that.
I mean, they got a good record, but still, you're talking about potentially Texas A&M. They could happen. You're right, because you said they make some mistakes with quarterbacks. So
that's a Texas rivalry game in a way. I mean, Texas A&M, Texas. So crazy things have happened.
But is it slated that Ohio State takes on Oregon in Big Ten? Is that slated?
No. Listen to this, and this is what we don't want. If Michigan, I mean, I know Michigan just beat Northwestern by 45, but the fact that Michigan put up 50 points is pretty insane because that's the most they've scored all year, regardless of who they played. If Michigan somehow squeaks by Ohio State, let's just say if Michigan beats Ohio State, we go to the Big Ten championship and we play Oregon.
But
we don't want that.
Talk about throwing a monkey wrench into.
We want that for competitiveness to win a Big Ten championship, sure, but just Ohio State handle business, beat Michigan. This is better for our playoff hopes. For us to just take the week off, and it sounds like some wimp stuff, but that's what we want. We're trying to make we don't want to play Oregon in the Big Ten championship right now. We might play them in the Natty. We just talked about it.
I'm just saying. I'm hoping, bud. So ACC championship, that's where it gets really messed up because there's Clemson, there's SMU, and there's Arizona State.
Did you say Wisconsin?
No, I said Arizona State. I said Clemson.
Clemson. You said Clemson. Yeah. I thought you said Wisconsin.
Clemson, what? So you have Clemson, Miami, and Arizona. No, wait, where is Arizona State? Are they in the ACC or are they in the Mountain West? Forget.
Arizona State is in the Big 12, right? Wait.
Arizona State, I don't think they are.
Yeah. Wait. Arizona State.
Oh, you're right. They are the Big 12. You're right. You are right. So never mind. I'm not. Forget I said about the Arizona State. But it's where's ACC? It's Clemson, Miami, and
SMU.
SMU. Yeah.
So we don't know what's happening there yet. It's still up in the air. I think.
All right. I'm just trying to slate what do we have looking forward to these championship games? So
SMU is first in the conference right now. They have not lost in their conference because of who they played. Obviously, we went over that. But Clemson's only lost once. Miami's lost once.
Okay.
So, wait, who does?
So this could not. Miami... So again, for what we're doing, what we're predicting, all of our scenarios, this could all be completely and totally spider-webbed up.
Disarray Jenga times 600. Yeah. So if Miami plays Syracuse, that shouldn't. I mean, crazier things have happened this weekend, and then Clemson plays whoever loses. Clemson plays South Carolina. Whoa. So Clemson has a much harder path to the title game because Clemson and basically, but what happens if Clemson and Miami both take care of business this weekend? They're going to have to go. I think what they do is they go on that team. They'll look at Clemson and say, what is the overall team's records that they beat? I think that's how they do it. And then they'll look at the other team. What is the overall record of the strength of the team that they beat? The teams that they beat, wins and loss record. You know what I'm saying? I think that's how and that's whoever will play SMU unless if SMU loses, then we're just in total. Actually, SMU could lose and still make it. Think about it. They haven't lost in
the yeah, because they only one loss. Yep.
SMU does not
they're
matter.
Guaranteed to be the championship.
So if Clemson loses to South Carolina, Clemson's out, and it's Miami SMU.
Yep.
It's in disarray, man. At this point.
So but here's the thing: if SMU upsets like they're in the championship, if they take on Miami or Clemson and wins, I mean, dude, you're talking about like 5 through 12, like being completely flipped around for sure. I mean, we beat Maryland, just please, dude, just beat the snot out of them. Don't make it close. Just annihilate them. Just do everything you can against Maryland this weekend.
If you win by at least 14, like that's fine. Like that's enough, you know. That's enough. It's not great.
I want 3.
I want us to win by 40, and we can. They have some good receivers over there. So they have Ty Felton. He's like Ty Felton's leading like receiving yards almost. He's like top 5. So
tough, but
so long story short, this is a to be continued. The episode that we do next might be called Jenga ×2. Like it might be called that. We might actually have to title that Mark Lesko Podcast with Brett and Jared, Jenga ×2. Like that might be the title. We'll have to see. I'm hoping everybody takes care of business the way they should this weekend, and we get a similar bracket. But this is 2024 college football, and that might just not happen. So, I don't know.
Listen, I like the idea again of a spider web. I like an idea of like a Pan's Labyrinth, like kind of like a cornfield maze with Jenga in the middle of it. So let's